YouTube, capital G here, long time no see. The OCG October 1st, 2021 Forbidden and Limited list, or as they call it, limit regulation, has been posted, and I want to talk about it. Not just because, of course, it could influence the TCG list in some capacity, as we often see, but you guys know how the OCG gets down. Them boys over there are wild, and sometimes they just be doing crazy stuff that honestly just goes over my head and I don't even fully comprehend it. So sometimes I just look at the OCG ban list and think to myself, what the hell are they thinking? And ironically, I'm pretty sure they think the same exact thing. Like when the OCG players look at the TCG, they scratch their head and they're like, what are those guys over there doing? But yeah, I definitely want to talk about it. It's a pretty wild one. There's a couple of things on here that's, gosh, I really don't get, but we're going to talk about it. And you guys can see the OCG, a lot of times they go all out. This is another example of them having cosplayers, and they posted their ban list on YouTube in spectacular fashion. They don't always just post it online and say, here's the list, guys. Sometimes they make a full big event out of it, like a live stream, something like that. Anyways, as you guys can see from the thumbnail, there are two cards blurred out, and those are the two cards that are now forbidden. Honestly, you can kind of tell what one of the cards is, the spell, but no, you can really tell what this card is too. I mean, you know it's an XC monster, and there was a certain XC that got limited in the OCG, but probably should have been banned. And now Konami has they've rectified that, and you guys can see newly unlimited is True King of All Calamities and Mystic Mind. Those are the cards in the thumbnail. True King of All Calamities, VFD, like, let's just be honest. The OCG putting this card to 1 was an absolute mistake. I don't know why they did that. Honestly, I think it has to do with the OCG's tendency to take these incredibly powerful and broken boss monsters, these cards that can warp entire metas and just change the game. The OCG doesn't usually outright ban them. Usually they put those cards to 1 just to see how things will kind of, you know, work, because I don't know, maybe they don't think that going from 3 to 0 is like a healthy way of solving problems. We saw this with Red Eye's Dart Dragoon. The OCG initially put they put Dragoon, Verde Anaconda, and Red Eye's Fusion. They hit the entire package to 1 rather than outright ban Dragoon, and then they realized, okay, this is still too broken and people are still playing it. Let's just go ahead and ban it. VFD is the same exact thing. We know that Virtual World only need a single copy of this to, you know, win the game. Essentially, if they just make that one copy and they are able to stop the opponent's turn, usually they're going to OTK you during the following turn. So yeah, this was one that I think was just overdue. They probably just should have went from 3 to 0 like it did in the TCG. Mystic Mind is interesting. I actually consider mine to be one of the most problematic floodgates of all time, to be honest. I mean, you want to talk about the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Not being played. That is literally essentially what Mystic Mind says. I don't like the aspect of like what dinosaurs do, where one player activates Mystic Mind. They basically just sit on it for turn after turn after turn, build up a bunch of resources, and then say, oh, okay, I've got everything I need. Let's activate Miscellaneous Saurus, or let's activate, Lost World to get rid of the Mystic Mind, activate Miscellaneous Saurus, drop Double Conductor on your head and just OTK you. It's just a degenerate card, whether you're using it in that capacity or you're using it to, you know, stall for time, to deck your opponent out because they don't have it out. It's just, it does too much, dude. Like, I know we got powerful floodgates like Imperial Order that people don't like, but mine just says the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Will not be played, and I'm not down with that. Like, get Mystic Mind out the game. Now, when it comes to limits, and one of these just, it made my jaw drop. You can see it's the first card. So, the first card is Psy-Frame Gear Gamma. The second card is Divine Arsenal Double A Zeus. So I had saw Farfa talked about this some time ago, that maybe Zeus should get limited, and I think Zeus can be an obnoxious card when you run multiples. Like, we do know that XC summoning has always been the easiest and most practical of all the extra deck mechanics, because so many archetypes, basically until the Vrains era, just had a lot of monsters of the same level. That's why in Vrains they started having with Altergeist and Goki and all these different archetypes. They started having to specifically stagger the levels in the archetypes because every deck could just Exceed Summon. And we see that with decks like Virtual World. They can easily make an Exceed. And it kind of just makes it like it turbocharges like any Exceed monster. It makes the penalty for letting your opponent Exceed Summon just way greater than, all right, well, my opponent attacked me with an Exceed. That's not so bad. Oh, wait a minute. They get to, stack this 3,000 attack monster that also has 3,000 defense that can wipe the board as a non-hard once per turn and non-hard once per chain at that, matter. Like, the Zeus is just an insane card, to be honest. Like, the fact that it got limited, yeah, I'm okay with that. I can see that. Multiple Zeuses in a game is kind of obnoxious. And in Psy-Frame Gear Gamma, I don't even know how to comprehend this one. I'll just be honest. Someone's really gonna have to explain this to me. When Gamma went to 2, my eyes popped out of my head, and I thought that was incredibly bizarre because I was like, is Gamma that big of a problem in the OCG? The OCG has hit other hand traps, like, they put Ash Blossom to 2 a long time ago, and then the next format, they instantly put it back to 3. They did it with other hand traps, and I guess Gamma is apparently like the most problematic hand trap, but this is insane. You're now going to have to play, if you want to play Gamma, you got to play one Gamma, one Driver. I'm sure someone in the background is saying, Cap, they did it for Brilliant Fusion. They did it for Brilliant Fusion. They did it for Terratop. They'll do it for Psy-Frame Gear Gamma. Bro, if you're willing to play one Gamma, one Driver, more power to you. I don't think that I would run that. I feel like this probably kills the playability of the card, but the OCG players are crazy, so who the hell knows what they'll do. I feel bad for Psy-Frame players because deck's basically unplayable now. But I guess you could say that with other decks like Gem Knights and stuff. Semi-limited, Soul Eating Oviraptor, Red Eyes Darkness, Metal Dragon, Pot of Desires, now semi-limited. What a world we live in. And Crossout Designator. So we were talking about Crossout Designator on my live stream because of the rumors for the Mega 10 is that Crossout Designator will be in them. And I actually asked my chat, is Crossout Designator going to be good or bad for the TCG? And a lot of people, including myself, said that the card was actually going to be bad for the TCG just because, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but in the OCG, man, you can't resolve hand traps. I know that sounds like, a little bit of a contradiction with the Gamma going to 1, but yeah, so many hand traps in the OCG. They have so many powerful ones like Maxi and all of this, but they just don't resolve. When you play in a format where you have multiple Called by the Graves, because Called by the Graves is still at 2 over there, plus 3 Crossout Designators, and then you can even throw in Talents and Ash Blossom for Maxi. Like, it just gets to the point where, why am I even playing all of these hand traps when I can never resolve them? Like, Crossout Designator is at 3 in basically every build in the OCG, and people often forget over here that Crossout Designator doesn't just stop hand traps. It stops, like, the literal hand traps, even things like Infinite Impermanence or Spells and Traps. Like, it stops everything. I honestly think this card's going to find itself at limited status, very similar to Called by the Grave in the TCG, because it is just way too versatile of a card, and people will play, like, they'll play singles of cards in the OCG. They call them, like, the OCG hand trap ratios. It's weird. Pot of Desires is also one that was super surprising to me. I actually wonder if maybe, because we've seen pots be hit in the TCG, like we've seen Pot of Duality way back when go to 2 and then it went to 1 for a very short period of time. I actually wonder if Konami could end up doing this with all the pot cards, like Extravagance and also Prosperity, just because it feels like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, you don't really build a deck without one of these 3 pot cards. Like, seriously, the game is so fast that if you're playing a super slow control deck, throw some Extravagances in there. If you're playing a deck that wants to go balls to the wall and runs a bunch of 3-ups, maybe you're playing Desires. And if you're playing a deck that doesn't need every card in its extra deck, okay, maybe you're going Prosperity and you're digging 6 cards deep into your deck. So I could kind of see this happening. For Oviraptor, going from 1 to 2, Dinosaur players, from what I've seen, OCG are saying that's a very big deal. So congrats to them. This card got errated, so I think this will probably just be a slow move to 3. I expect maybe on a future ban list that it will go to 3. And then for unlimited cards, which usually don't matter that much at all, we have Danger Nessie, which is actually kind of crazy because this is like the most powerful danger card, I think, objectively by a pretty significant margin. High level, also it just really, there's no downside. Either you summon a big monster or you get to search for another danger card and attempt another danger. Salamangreat Great Circle. This is one, in my opinion, that needs to happen in the TCG. Salamangreats are in the OCG at full power outside of Gazelle. That's kind of how I feel like it should be in the TCG. I mean, they had Mirage Stallion forever, and no one was even thinking about playing Salamangreats. And now, basically, again, they have full power Salamangreat except for the one copy of Gazelle, which still makes me a little anti with Pot of Desires, because if you banish your Gazelle, just scoop. You're not going to win the game. Mind Control and then Pendulum Call. I don't think these are really going to matter at all. The main one will just be Salamangreat Circle, or maybe Danger Nessie. That card's kind of insane at 3. But what do you guys think of this Forbidden and Limited list? And are there things that you think could translate to the TCG? Most likely, I would say, just if I were to, I guess, throw a dart at it, would probably be this one. AA Arsenal Zeus. This is one that I think, yeah, eventually this is probably going to happen in the TCG. Mystic Mine, I really wish would, honestly, but I don't think it's on Konami's radar in the TCG. Hopefully it will happen eventually, but you know, I guess we can only pray for that. Anyways, whatever you guys thought, leave it in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching as always.